take, I don't know how many. So I've been working on this all night, basically. Mostly programming, but a lot of rebuilding of this thing. You can see the pile of parts I have over there. This is as quote unquote as small as I could get it, with still maintaining functionality. 2 motors, 1 touch sensor, 1 rotation sensor, 1 large turntable, 1 slip gear. And I went back because I think this is my standard coloring scheme for motors inputs or outputs and sensor inputs, blue, yellow, red. And so I started labeling these because I always kept on getting the wires mixed up. So now I put the red out here on the wires and on the sensors and on the motors. So that helped me out a lot when it comes to this kind of stuff. So it's a pretty rudimentary program right now. It's not doing any kind of dropping off the shuttle. It just picks it up and spins it around. So if we hit run now, it's gonna find, whoops, it's gonna find 0. So first of all, it would lift off the vehicle, but that timing's needs more work. So now it's going to find 0, and there's a touch sensor there, and there's a 2x2 plate here with a pinhole. And as soon as that pinhole touches that sensor, that's 0. So this is 0 degrees, and then the program basically tells it to go to 90, and then back to 45 because I want to see it going back and forth to see if it's going to do this properly. So there's the 45, and now it's going to go to 180. I'm tired. And now back to 135. And now it's going to go to the 3/4 of the circle, 270. And it's going to go back to 235, I guess it is. So that's and then it's going to go down to the 315 degree mark, and that's where the program ends. So that is all statically programmed. So what's going to happen in the future is I'm going to have, this is my plan anyway, I'm going to have 4 state, because I can't do the vehicle moving around like I did in my previous layouts, because it's going to be way too much effort to modify the classic space layout to have this vehicle driving around. Although that is really cool, I'm not going to do it yet. So basically I'm going to find this empty spot on the layout where I'm going to drop this thing right in the center. I'm going to have 4 stations or maybe 8 stations where there's going to be places to drop off the shuttle and pick up a shuttle and move them around, just to have some sort of movement in the layout. Now, I did drastically reduce the length of my arm here. It used to come way out to here. It was the 15 here and here. Right now I reduced it to 9s, I think. So maybe even 7s, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, no, 9s. And that's just because it was just too big for what I wanted to do. I can even reduce it more, but I do want it to be away from all the gizmos here. Oh, I need to go to bed. So it is fun. And so it's just going to randomly, it's going to be either 4 spots on the 0, 90, 180, 270, or it's going to be 8 spots on the 45s as well as the 90s to drop off the shuttle, and maybe have 2 or 3 shuttles on there, and I'll just randomly move them around from station to station. It's an idea. I don't know what I'm going to do with it yet, but in the end, so you can see the rotation sensor there. I put it all the way on the end. Let me just turn this around. Just turn this thing off. Let me just disconnect this right now. I put it on the end here of the gear train, because it goes to 8 to 24 on a crown gear. It goes from 8 to 24 inside there, and then it goes in there and it goes into the 16 tooth crown, and then it goes from 8 to whatever, I can't remember how many teeth the turntable has. So it's drastically reduced, but I used to have the sensor on the other 8 to 24, and basically the 90, from 0 to 90 was 10 ticks on the rotation sensor, and that did not give me enough granularity to be accurate. So this 90 was 10, 180 was 20, and 270 was 30 basically, and they were off a little bit. So it was 30, 60, 90. That's right, 30, 60, 90. 0, 30, 60, 90. It's still, I could not get it precisely at 90 or 180 or 270. So I put it out here, and now this is, to get it from 0 to 90 is basically 90 turns or 90 clicks of the rotation sensor. So 90, 180, 270 correspond basically to what the rotation sensor is saying. And that's coincidental, and I'll take it overall. So that made my programming a lot easier. So just count how many revolutions or how many ticks the rotation sensor goes, and then you're going to have exactly where you want the arm to be. After you reset it when it hits the touch sensor. So it hits the touch sensor, resets the rotation sensor to 0. So that's 0 degrees. When this thing is straightforward like that, and this thing is on top of the rotation sensor like that, right there, this is 0 degrees. And then it goes over here to the right. That's 90, and 180 is back over here, and then 270 is that way. So that makes my life a lot easier when the rotation sensor basically corresponds to exactly the degrees I want. So I'm not going to complain about that. I'm going to add some randomness to the program tomorrow or whenever I have time. But you've seen it working. I just wanted it to work and pick up the shuttle. So it picks up the shuttle and moves it around. That's exactly what I wanted it to do. It's a nice little arm. I'm going to get all the crap out of the background here so you can see it. It's a nice arm. It's not too complicated. Again, I think it's Mars Missions, Mindstorms RIS 1.0 or 2.0, Mars Missions. That shows you how to build an arm quite like this. I modified it, of course, to pick up the shuttle. And rotate. I mean, the turntable is exactly the same. Actually, I don't know if it came with the turntable. I think it was just up and down. It's been so long since I looked at that Mindstorms book. The other thing, quick note, is I did error testing with my multimeter with the wires that I made, but sometimes when you're putting a wire down on the here, it shorts out. So I had to fix one of these wires today. So I'm gonna have to be very, very careful, add more due diligence to testing my wires, because as soon as you push them down onto the studs, for whatever reason on the inside, it caused a short. So I had to take one end apart on one of these wires and then reseat it. So I'm gonna have to be very careful with all those additional wires that I made over there. Just one more thing that I have to think about when maybe I'll find a better way of putting them together in the first place. But that's something that happened to me. So this is it. My shuttle lifter is basically making a comeback. I'm happy about that. Now, whether or not it ends up in the next show, probably not. It's not show ready yet. This thing looks like a Technic build and not a classic space build. Even that robotic arm over there looks like a Technic build, not a classic space build. Of course, all this is going to be under the base plates. This is going to be the only exposed part above the base plates, just like that, see? So you won't see any of this, you'll just see the arm. This guy is all above the base plates because I needed the height for the vehicle. So this is exactly what, I can encase it in blue and put ladders and greebles on it. But we'll see what happens. So that's it, that's all. I'm going to bed. I hope everybody's doing well. I will talk to you guys soon.